So Salty and Sprinkles, how are you?
Good.
Very good.
Good. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So I know you guys are YouTubers and you're on Instagram, but for people that don't follow your channel, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm Salty. She's Sprinkles. We ride Indian motorcycles. I ride a 2020 Indian Challenger. She rides a 2019 Indian Scout Bobber. And we ride out of Houston for a club called the EMS Angels Motorcycle Club. It's a first responder healthcare club.
Nice.
And we raise money and awareness for first responders with PTSD in the healthcare field. So
Awesome. That's what I really love to see with people in the YouTube community doing something positive. I think it's really great that you guys have spread that message. How long have you been involved in that?
we've been in our club with our chapter for 6 years? Mm-hmm. 6 years. And this is actually our first event that we're ever doing, because it's been like every year we're like going back and forth on what we wanted to like.
Well, we've supported events too.
Yeah.
So
this is our first.
This is our first event.
Okay. So you got your chapter's hosting it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So we were actually silent auction, 50-50 raffle. And, but yeah, we're doing a ride. We're going to go up to the Indian dealership and we're going to be riding to this place called Jailhouse Saloon. Nice. And we're actually going to have the service dogs at both places. They're going to be with the first responder. Her name's Annie. She's actually the one that won I don't know. I want to say won.
One. She's the one who is receiving the PTSD pup.
It wasn't a contest, but we're really competitive. So everything's a contest in our life.
And I think you recently posted that on Instagram, right? There was
we just announced it this week.
That's fantastic. Because I know those dogs aren't cheap.
No.
That's yeah.
We actually found that out after we decided that's what we were going to do. And all of a sudden.
All right. Who's giving up a kidney?
Yeah, that would be me. You know, it would be a great idea until you get to that point.
Yeah. We've actually, through the channel and through Instagram, just posting our Eventbrite, we've actually had people from all over the world donate so far. So it's like eye-opening to see how many people care about this, because I'm a veteran myself, but like the first responders and the stuff, like, you know, I worked in life flight for 3 years as a life flight nurse. Mm-hmm. And the stuff that people see in the streets on the, you know, from traumas and different kind of tragedies is just absolutely the stuff like people should never see. And then they have to do it multiple times a week, a lot of times. So the PTSD is real bad in that community. And it's just not one of those things that people talk about, because as a first responder or in, you know, healthcare, they're like, that's your job. Like, go to the next call.
Yeah. Suck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And I think that that's the thing too, that people forget is, you know, you're a human being, you have a life and you have things to deal with. It's not just turn off a switch.
Yeah.
That's gotta be difficult. So I guess we'll see you. This is new to me. So I have two people on at once to talk to. So when did you guys start riding? I'm assuming did you ride before you met?
No.
Okay.
She had never been on a motorcycle in her entire life.
Awesome.
And I've been riding since I was 16. So when I went, like, I was living in Tulsa, she was living in Houston. We reunited on Facebook. Like we knew each other in high school.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually dated in high school, and I moved away. It was before the internet was invented. So
what was that like?
Yeah, I know. It was like
there was a world before the internet.
Dial-up existed.
I think dial-up was brand new.
So we lost touch, and then reunited on Facebook. And I was in Tulsa. I'm like, that ain't that far. It's like an 8-hour ride. And I was like, I'll come down and visit you. You know, we were both single, and next thing you know,
awesome.
I was like, you want to get on the back? And it was a test, because I was like,
really?
If I'm gonna date a girl, you gotta be on the back. But yeah, it was like 2 or 3 years of you being on the back when you were finally like, it's been 4 years. Yeah,
because I've been riding for 4 years. So.
Oh, that's awesome. My wife always tells the story that when I got my Suzuki Intruder, I took her out for like this 200-mile ride, which was way beyond what she was comfortable with. And she kept telling me, she's like, I was in so much pain, but I wasn't going to be that girl. I wasn't tapping out. She's like, I liked you. I didn't care. We were going to get home in one piece.
That's awesome.
And she fell asleep on the bike, that was scary.
Oh man. Yeah.
We went through this big sweeper turn, and the bike's new to me. I guess it was a couple years in the ride. And like, the bike's not turning. There's something wrong with the bike. And I'm like, oh wait, that's not good.
Yep. I've actually rode with a bunch of people, and a couple of them have like bungee cords for their wives, because then if they start drinking, they'll bungee cord them to the back.
Everybody says that.
And keep them all tied in.
That's why I like the tour pack.
I can't even fall asleep in a car. There's no way I could fall asleep on a bike.
No.
That's fair. Yeah, the tour pack definitely kind of wraps you in there. So what did you start riding at 16?
Oh, I had a 1986 Honda VFR 700 with the V4.
Okay.
Yeah, like a sport bike.
Oh, you're brave. That's that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I wanted a motorcycle. My parents like, if you can afford one, well, you can get one. So I found one that was like $1,000, and I was like, that's cool looking. That reminds me of Top Gun. I want that. Never ridden a motorcycle in my life. So my dad went and picked it up and rode it home. And he goes, here it is. Literally just gave me the keys. Have fun. And like I said, I look back now, I'm like, I actually messaged him like a year ago. I'm like, did you guys like hate me when I was 16? Like, did you want me to go up in like a ball of flames? Like I would like looking back now, I'm like, I would never give my 16-year-old, an 11-second sport bike, like quarter-mile sport bike. But
yeah, I can't get my kids on my bike.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My oldest goes, but my youngest is like, we'll get back to you on that one. It's really funny. So Sprinkles, you started on your Indian?
No, I actually started on a Yamaha R3. That was my first bike.
Okay.
I wanted something that was very light that I could catch if it started to fall over.
Okay.
That was my requirement.
Still failed.
I did. Slowest drop ever. I forgot to put my feet down. It happens.
And it was in the parking lot. So.
As I'm going over, I'm screaming his name. I've never seen him run so fast. He was like dashing across the parking lot trying to get to me before I dropped it. Still dropped it. But
that's funny.
I outgrew it pretty fast. Just the leaning over. I'm too old for that. So I've had my Scout Bobber for almost 2 years. Not quite 2 years, a year and a half.
That's awesome. Yeah, we dropped ours the first road trip we took with it. And I don't think the two of us could barely get it off the ground. We're laughing hysterical. Like, I don't want to be the guy that goes in the hotel being like, you have anybody out here that could, kind of help us? This thing's damn heavy. Yeah, they are heavy.
There's a different, I want to say like there's a different technique to it, but like, I don't know if you recently watched, I have a video on my channel where I high-sided my bike. Mm-hmm. I hit oil and it just caught and threw me, but had a real bad throttle lag and it was just a recipe for disaster. But I went and it was in the middle of an intersection. It was super busy. And I was like, oh shoot. I'm like, I got to pick my bike up. I picked it up so much that it almost fell over on the other side. And like adrenaline kicked in hardcore. But my buddy, like 2 weeks ago, was getting gas.
You're going to tell on him?
I'm telling on him. This is awesome because there's a biker bar here. The gas station's across the street. Like everyone,
everyone's facing out looking at the gas station.
Gas station is all you can see from this biker bar. So he's getting gas and the cement barrier, the cylindrical pole that sits in front of the gas pump to protect people from hitting it. He goes to pull out, hits it and falls over. And he's got a brand new Indian Challenger.
Oh, so like, what did he do? Clip the bag?
No, clip the fairing. He didn't see it. The fairing was in front of it. So it hits the front of the fairing and falls over. We're on comms unit, me and her, and she's like, David dropped his bike. And I look over and he's like, and I'm like, oh my God. So like there's two entrances to the gas station. So I peel out, go to
if people weren't looking before, they are definitely looking now.
The peel out helped.
I was courteous. I parked the bike right in front of them so no one can see us picking it up.
Nothing to see here.
But I go to pick it up and I'm like, oh my God, that's heavy. I'm like, I don't remember it being this heavy. I'm like, oh yeah, I wrecked my bike. I was still like pumping adrenaline when I picked my bike up. But yeah, those things from a lane all the way over, they are not light to pick up.
I had a KOR. It's funny you say that. I completely forgot the story. First group ride I ever did, I meet up with these guys with the KOR with the big panniers on the side. And I'm all like, I'm going to ride. This is going to be fun. Dropped it right in the middle of a Starbucks. Big window in front of the Starbucks. And there's people just sitting there like,
Yep. No, you don't drop a bike when you're by yourself. You always do it in front of a crowd. Like
absolutely.
I think there's like 10 laws of motorcycle. I think that's like number 6.
Because nothing ever happens if nobody sees it.
Except her. She dropped her bike just in front of me. So
you're going to like jinx me now.
They like to greet people.
Well, that went to hell. My cat's probably like, let's go.
All the animals are freaking out now.
No one's here, bud.
My cats are afraid of the doorbell. So if you're watching TV and there's a doorbell goes off, they just scatter. I'm like, it's just TV.
Oh,
cats.
man.
Yeah, they're good balls. That's awesome. So you guys started riding. So that's really a great story though. So you dated in high school and you got reunited. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you had your Challenger at the time. So you both didn't have bikes when you got back together.
No, I've had a bike my whole life.
Oh, okay. You did say, I'm sorry.
I actually counted today. You've had 9 bikes in the last 6 years. 9 different bikes in the last 6 years.
One woman.
I'm waiting to be traded in at this rate.
I mean, that's 9 bikes, 6 years. I went through 3 bikes in my first year. I was bad. I didn't start riding until I was 40 and I got bit hard. Yeah. So I wanted to do I started riding. I was like, this is just too much fun.
Yeah.
And you make poor decisions and just keep buying bikes.
Yeah. My thing was I went from sport bikes and I think it was in 2011. I wanted to get a cruiser and I wanted a Kawasaki Vaquero super bad. And I was riding a Suzuki. Yeah, I was riding a Suzuki GSXR 750, and I used to ride with all Harley guys and some sport bike guys. But they were like, you can't get a Kawasaki if you're gonna get a cruiser. You have to get a Harley. I was like, well, I ride a Suzuki now. What's wrong with but it's a cruiser. You have to get a Harley. So I ended up going out and getting a Harley, and I just was chasing something that they couldn't give me. I was just every Harley I got, I was like, I don't like this about it. I don't like this about it. And I was spending thousands and thousands of dollars. But I finally went and got a Kawasaki Vaquero. How many years ago was that? It was right before my Challenger. If the Challenger never existed, I'd still be riding it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an awesome bike.
Yeah.
I'll probably find something.
Lies.
Fake news.
That's why every time he does another upgrade, I'm on the Challenger. I'm like, for what? You're not going to keep it.
The Challenger?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
We'll see.
I got another good year or 2 in it.
Yeah. So then that would get you to 6 bikes in 8 years?
7 bikes?
No, 10 bikes in 7 years.
Oh,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be 10 bikes in 8 years, but.
I don't think so. Do you want me to count them out?
No, we don't need to do that.
Oh, no, go ahead. We have time. I mean,
this is Sesame Street. We don't need to count.
1 bike. Ha, ha, ha. Second bad decision. Ha, ha, ha.
There was several of those in there, yes.
I tried to buy a Harley.
I never lost money on any of them, though, so I've been really good at that.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
cool. Those bikes are, every bike's a money pit.
I'm always feeling good about it after I get done. Oh,
it's stupid that my car and I bought my car used, but my car and my bike were the same price. They're both used. And I'm like, the car doesn't matter. That car the seats could fall out, whatever. The bike, you're like, oh, new seat. I gotta get a new seat.
Yeah.
It's disease. Yeah. It's terrible.
But I'm still on my stock seat, which is a new thing for me because I have a very sensitive backside and stock seats never work for me. And this Challenger so far has been golden. I love it.
Okay.
For now, so you do your 1K next week.
I'm doing a 1K next week, so we'll see.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, if you don't do it on a sports suit, it's not a real 1K. So this will be out Sunday.
Okay. Well, I don't think my mom will watch your channel, but yeah, I'm only riding up to her. She's having a wedding. She's in a wedding. She is the wedding.
She is getting married. She's not having a wedding.
So I'm riding up there to Arkansas. So I don't think she's going to watch this, but I'm riding up there the day of the wedding. I'm going to walk her down the aisle. She's going to get married and I'm riding home. And I was supposed to be there originally 4 days, but there's been some things going on and I'm like, I'll just go up there for the day. And it's two birds with one stone, a wedding and a 1K. So
I am not going there for this drama.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like, yeah. So is it 500 split? Is it pretty much 500 there?
It's like 550 there, right?
No, it's like 600.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a 1,200 mile ride.
Okay. So what is your previous one day that you've
I've
done?
done a couple of 1,000s here and there.
But
okay.
We got to about 7:30. That's my wife's proudest achievement moment. We went to Pittsburgh for lunch and came back, and it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
It was just really fun to to try it. And we're going to Louisville in September. And my wife was all mad. She's like, that's only 740 miles. Like, why isn't it 1,000? I'm like, well, we could find somewhere that's 1,000.
Yeah, you can just find a little deviation.
Yeah. Wisconsin, the Harley Museum is like 1,200 miles. We're down.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. I'd like to go up there. I mean, as much as I like don't support Harley anymore, like I like history and even the Indian history. I know they went out of business in the 50s, but like I actually have like both Harley and Indian like history books, and it's really cool to read up on it. And I was actually, where was I at? I was riding motorcycles with a guy that we've known previously, and he brought a friend around, and he was like, "Oh, that's a nice Indian," and he starts talking about like these like crazy stories, and I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that story before. And he was like, yeah. And he was going on and on and on and on about these like very elaborate, lavish stories about Indian versus Harley. Like they were like shooting each other and like doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Well, he ended up watching like a documentary that was like on one of those cable channels. And I was like, oh, I don't think that's true. I was like, I think they like built that up for like cinematic view. He's like, no, it's true. It was a documentary. And I was like, so I actually like went home and I was telling her about it. And I was like, I've read so many books on Indian and Harley. I was like, I've never heard these stories. And all of a sudden I looked it up. I'm like, oh, that was a completely non-true like documentary about Harley and Harley and the Indians. And I was like,
oh, was that the Harley and the Davisons?
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, that's got some really bad one-liners in it too. Oh,
yeah. So it's pretty funny. It's funny that like I was talking to someone today, a guy he's got a channel, and he was talking about, he's like, I'll have a Harley, but you know, I can't, he's like, I throw shade on Indian all the time, but he's like, they're better. He's like, they are awesome. They have a great performance. Like what they're doing is awesome. That, you know, if they keep doing what they're doing, they'll do fine. And he was talking about like the people that don't know anything about Indians. I'm like, dude, I run into people that don't know anything about Indians like every day, like people that don't even know what Indian is. Like one of my buddies, he's like, why are you still riding one of those jet bikes? I'm like, an Indian? And he's like, yeah, isn't it a Japanese bike? I'm like, no. I'm like, that's definitely not like 0% true.
Yeah.
And like, it's like a lot of people think they're metric bikes. I'm like, they're made in Iowa. Like,
well, we had a Victory dealer where I bought my Suzuki, and I wanted a Victory for the longest time. And when they went under, I was so bitter. And I think that's just kind of stuck with me. I want to try the Challenger, but I feel like I need to defend the Victory Cross Tour's honor because the Vision I thought was such a cool bike because it was so obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like a spaceship, and it's like they're like super, super comfortable. And I'm 6'2", and like all the Indians are like real spread out. Like they're real, like you don't have to like buy highway pegs for them because you can like put your legs all the way out. But the last live stream we were on, I was riding fish. And like after we got done with the podcast or the live stream, he started talking about Victory and like the history behind it. And he was telling me that like the contracts that Victory had were horrible. Like there's dealerships that were buying bare minimum bikes. They'd buy one, like sit it in the corner and never even try to sell it. Yeah. So that would be like the dealership for that area. So they couldn't even sell Victories in certain parts of the country. And because I really liked Victories, I thought they were a great bike.
I took out an 8-ball when I still had the KLR, and I couldn't believe it. I was hooked. Like that's all I wanted. And then they just went under one day. Yep. It was, it's crazy. It's, I mean, I would like to see Victory succeed because obviously you need competition. I mean, the one thing Harley lacks is innovation. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah. I've talked to a couple of people that they ride Harleys and they're like, I hope they like step up to the competition and try to compete. And like a couple of my buddies are like, they're so arrogant. They don't feel like they need to. I'm like, cause I think having a whole redesign from frame up is going to cost a lot of money for them to actually put a different frame on their touring baggers and liquid cooled and, all that stuff.
So what are your thoughts on the Pan America? Like with that engine, do you think that that's going to be something that's going to be comparable to Indian, or do you think they're just sort of out in left field with that?
Well, the engine itself, I think is going to be comparable to like the BMW because it's going to have a little bit more power, and the Triumph. But, they're high on horsepower. The torque the bikes only weigh 500 pounds. So the torques don't have to be in the 130s, 140s to get the weight moving. But I was talking to someone else and they're like, their rationale was like, well, it's a 1200. So if they make an 1800, it'll have like 200 horsepower. I'm like, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. But I'm like, I think with that technology, I think they can cross it over into a bagger platform to where they can actually get a big, 1800 cc engine in the comparable regions to like the Indians. And I think it's going to be a good, I hope, because we'll benefit from it at the end of it.
Sure. I just like to have a bike that doesn't feel like it's on fire.
Oh my gosh.
103 is so hot. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Your bike gets hot though.
Mm-hmm.
So what size is the bobber?
Hers is a 1200.
That's exactly, that was my thought too. I was like, people ask me about my bike. I'm like, I don't know. It's got 6 gears.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Got some stuff in it.
Her bike's actually super fast. And it gives my bike a run for the money for sure. And
That's awesome.
We're going to be super excited when I sent my ECU out to get tuned by Lloyd's.
Mine's next.
Now, will you still have it when it comes back, or are you going to be on to the next bike?
I'll still have it.
Exactly.
But yeah, her bike actually is probably a little bit faster than mine because my buddy has the same bike as hers, and he is a bike length ahead of me when we get it.
Nice.
When we're racing in Mexico, not in Texas, where
not
it's
Texas, because we would not promote that sort of hooligan behavior.
We wouldn't promote racing in Texas ever.
55 stay alive. That's what they say.
55 will leave you dead in Houston.
Yeah, you can do.
That's what I heard.
No, but we actually went out the other day, and I'm pretty sure I had the slowest bike out of everybody. That my Hell's on Two Wheels was down from Florida. Mm-hmm. He's got a 128 Moonshine built Harley.
Yeah, his bike's been worked.
I'm not allowed to tell you how much horsepower it has. It's a secret, but it's a lot.
It's a secret. Ooh, okay.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of work done to his bike. But him and my buddy Carlos, who has the bobber, like they took off, and it was just like they were like 1 or 2 bike lengths ahead of me. But I was like, and I can't catch them. She comes screaming by me, and I'm like, and I'm last place.
You got passed by a girl.
My ECU got shipped out
like 3 days later.
3 days.
He pulls over. He's on the internet. Damn it.
Yeah. How do make I fast Challenger?
That's a sickness. That's funny. So where do you guys like to ride now? Do you tour? Like what is your thing?
We like to ride a lot, but
I'd like to do more trips.
That
was our goal this year, was to get a couple trips in. We've already done 1.
Yeah.
So hoping to do another 1 or 2, but this event's kind of taken up a lot of our time. So we've been riding around to local places and advertising and trying to support other clubs in their events. So
that's great.
Yeah. You can do 300 miles and not leave Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's from San Antonio, and she always tells me, she's like, "Oh, you can drive all day and never leave the state." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." Sounds fun. In Jersey, we live right on the edge of Jersey into Pennsylvania, so we actually spend more time riding in Pennsylvania than we do in Jersey because Jersey's kind of boring.
You live near Anonymous Biker? He lives somewhere in Pennsylvania, I think.
He actually grew up where I grew up, or around that area, because he sent me an IM the one day, and he's like, "Where? That's Ben Salem." I was like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "I grew up there." He grew up there and spent some time there, but it was really funny. Trying to think who's around here. Baggers and Brews is not too far from me. Misplaced Moto Vloggers around here. Trying to think who else is around here. There's not a lot, at least that I know of. Everybody seems to be either in North Jersey or like in Delaware or Maryland, that area.
Oh, okay.
But
we actually are putting together a motovlog meetup in Texas, and we're going to Austin. I saw
that.
And we actually were like, "Who are you? And you live in Houston and you motovlog?" And I'm like, there's so many people that motovlog in Texas that we never even realized. So that's going to be a cool little meetup. I'm sure there's going to be camera. People are going to be like, "Why is the paparazzi here? And why do they have such cheap phones?"
It's just going to be videos of people videoing.
Why do they have such cheap phones and camera accessories? They're like the poor paparazzi.
We went to the York plant, and we met Being Here Now with Percy, who's on YouTube. And it was just funny because it's the first time I've ever met anyone else that was from YouTube. And it's just kind of funny to see someone walking around talking to themselves. And you're like, "Oh, that's how I look." Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what we roll up to the dealership where we're meeting Big Smitty. And I was like, yeah, I was in my camera. I was like, yeah, or my video. I was like, yeah, we're going to meet Big Smitty. And I pull up and I was like, that's him. And I was like, don't drop your bike, babe. But I was like, I pulled up and I'm like, he's filming us. I was like, I better not drop my bike.
That'd be the best.
Joking with her. And I'm like, boom.
But he was joking around and he said it's funny watching you roll down the freeway with your hands doing this. He's like, oh, that's how I look.
Mm-hmm. I talk with my hands all the time. Yeah. So like when I'm on the bike and like talking, and sure enough, on that video that I said, I wrecked my bike, and literally we knew there was oil. I knew my throttle was real bad. I needed to get it fixed. And it was just a recipe for disaster. But people literally were like, the reason you wrecked is because you ride with one hand. I was like, no, that's definitely not why I wrecked. But come on, you can continue making comments on my videos and love the haters. I'm reckless.
Reckless. Because you were doing a wheelie with the backhand dragging on the ground.
Yeah. And that's what the funny thing is. I was like, man, I'm like, out of all the people that we ride with, like everyone's like, when that happened, they're like, that just shows that it could happen to anybody. Because Joe wrecked. Like everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe Salty wrecked. Like that's unheard of, because I've been riding so much, and happens to anybody. Like you hit oil, happens to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just the reality of it. Mm-hmm. Smitty's a character that had to be fun. He's a hoot.
Yeah. He's fun.
Yeah. We actually I don't know how I found his channel, but comment on there, said I was from Houston. And he was like, something happened. And he was like, he's from LaPorte. And I'm like, dude, we live like 20 minutes from each other. And so we actually made it a point to meet up and hang out. And we've been pretty much texting ever since. He's hilarious.
That's awesome. It's funny. He had made a comment about how you tell your kids not to meet strangers or on the internet. And then you get on YouTube and you're like, oh, you're where? I'll be there. I'll just show up. Sure. No problem.
Got to meet in a public place with lots of cameras. And
it's interesting too, how open the community is. Like it's very genuine for the most part. Like, there's always people that are willing to go out and ride or, help you out, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We've met a lot of different people in the community, and a lot of it's through Instagram and stuff, but it's interesting to meet the different people from all over the country. And especially when you get on live streams from someone that's in the UK so that's, like I said, the one thing that I didn't think the YouTube channel was going to do was make you have friends. We actually have friends that we've made, so far, a couple of them, people that we've actually rode out to San Antonio, met Seth Serpendants. Yeah. And we hung out with him for 4 days. He's got
a monster bike from what I understand.
Well, that's what everyone I talked to was the video. We had a video of us racing, and on my video, it's you can just see us cruising next to each other. And he was like, well, he's not going anywhere. He was super, super calm about it. And at the end of it, he was like, dude, I put a ton of money into my bike. And he goes, your bike literally has a tune and it keeps up with mine. I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's very disappointing in me. But he was like, well, mine's still Harley compliant. I was like, but mine's Indian compliant. They're both EPA tunes. And he was like, that just sucks. That sucks so bad. I'm like, I'm happy. You put probably 20 grand into your bike. And I'm like,
well, they certainly sell you on the idea of, you need more. I laugh when you talk to people that are newer to ride or whatever. And it's we had a 103. We have a 103. We had it fully loaded with a rick rack on the back, two up. You can do over 100. And it's no problem. But people are like, oh, but I need an M8. I need, this, I need that. I'm like, dude, you'll go broke. There's always something.
But yeah, if you actually look at the horsepower and the torque ratings from the 88 to the Milwaukee 8, it's not that much difference. It's not that it's not drastic amount of power difference. And those twin cams, if you really want to beef them up, they're capable of putting out a lot of power.
Yeah, I think the fandom is really funny. There's people that only love one engine. Doesn't matter what engine you have. It's the other engines are crap. And you're like, okay, sure.
Well, that's when you start your bike, your engine still shakes, right?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of shake to it. I don't find it to be aggressive, but it's not like my buddy's 1200 Sportster that was.
Oh yeah, that things are cheaper.
Yeah, you can't see your mirrors.
Our bikes, it's just like any other bike. We fire them up, and smooth. It doesn't rattle. Like the engines don't move. But I noticed the new Harleys, the Milwaukee 8s, the 114s, they don't move at all. Like they shake a little bit, but I'm like, man, the one thing that's cool about having a Harley is that you get your fists in the air and everything's rattling and you just feel badass. I was like, the new ones, you just fire it up and it's just like any other bike.
I don't think they sound the same either.
No,
when I was in Louisville, I met Tony Cox for dinner, and he's got an M8 Street Bob. And you start it up, and I'm like, it sounds different. And I'm not a motorhead at all, but like right away you can tell it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah, like when I had the Kawasaki Vaquero, I went to start my bike up, and my buddy who has a Street Glide Special fired his up. I'm like, dude, that sounds exactly the same. And I was like, my bike and your bike are like the engines don't move at all. I'm like, that's not Harley. That's not Harley at all.
It sounds like a sewing machine with the stock pipes. It's real quiet.
Yeah, but actually I can't say nothing. My Challenger was super quiet, and she bought her bike with all the stuff already done to it.
Oh, you got the all option?
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah, well, no, we bought it. Like we were taking my Kawasaki in to get its oil change. You can tell the story.
Oh, well, we took it in to get an oil change, and I was looking for a new bike. I was without a bike at the time because I hadn't found one that I liked. And I just saw a little bike sitting over on the showroom floor. So I was like, oh, that looks cute. I'll go sit on it. So I sit on it and I'm like, oh, like this is perfect. I can hold it up. It's not too heavy. I'm like, and I looked at him. I said, I want this one. He goes, of course you do. It's an Indian. So
there you go.
It was at a Kawasaki dealership.
Yeah,
That's
was
weird.
somebody trading it in for a sport bike, right?
The dude traded in a sport bike, bought the Scout, not at the Kawasaki. He bought it at Mancuso Indian.
For rode it for 1,000 miles, decided he didn't like it, and went back to a sport bike.
In the process, put a full exhaust, intake, stage 1,
New handlebars,
new bars, a rack,
a windscreen.
1,000 miles, put all that money into it, and then went back to a sport bike at the Kawasaki dealership, and we just happened to be there. And I was like, I actually test rode it, and it's loud. It's a loud bike. And when I went to get on it, and I was like, whoa, I'm like, that I was not expecting that. So we go back, I'm like,
he's like, nope, you can't have that bike.
You can't have that bike.
I was like, what?
You just wheel it out of the dealership. I think it's interesting too that it seems like the better deals are buying a bike not at that dealership. Like you find a Harley and it's sold, but we found a Road Glide in like a Honda dealership, and it was selling for like $2-3 grand less than you could buy at a Harley dealership because they just want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, we actually went and looked at a brand new Scout Bobber because I wanted the white one.
Okay.
And when I saw how much they wanted for a new one with nothing on it, we went back and got the one.
I was like, and I was kicking myself in the butt driving there. I'm like, oh my God. I hope they still have it. Because if they don't, that's cost me like $6 grand. And I was like,
yeah, I don't think they realized what they had because it was definitely not priced appropriately.
No,
that's awesome though. So what do you have? What was done to the bike? So you said it's got stage 1 on it?
Yeah. So it's got intake, exhaust, tune, and
what exhaust are you running? Is it Indian or
Freedom Performance?
Okay.
Like imagine like the best sounding exhaust in the world, no matter what bike it is. And like her bike sounds better than that.
It sounds really good. I'm not a huge exhaust person, but I love the way my bike sounds.
Like we ride with other Scouts. Like that Scout engine sounds awesome as it is, but like I don't know what it is about like her configuration of the the Freedom Performance. Because our good friend and she's on our club, she has a Scout Bobber. And it's a little bit longer, so it's kind of like a more muffled sound. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I was like, it sounds similar because same company, but like something with the way the cut and the pipe is, it just sounds awesome.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's what. And when I got my exhaust on my bike, I'm like, yeah, I got exhaust. I can actually it sounds. So I start my bike up, they're like, oh, that sounds good. And all of a sudden she starts her bike up, they're like,
did she ever turn to you and be like, is your bike on?
No, she used to do that shit all the time to me.
I'd be like, go ahead and start yours first so you can hear it.
My buddy, when he had the 1200 Sportster, that was the joke. He'd pull up at a light. I'm like, did they make that in men's? That's cute. I'm pissed off.
Yeah, he got tired of people oohing and awing over my bike when he had his Vaquero.
Yeah, like I feel like Vaquero is one of the best looking fixed fairing baggers out there. Like I'm like, I still think it's like almost as good as looking as the Challenger. Like a lot of people don't like the Challenger look, but I like it. So like we were at this bar and like a bunch of guys from a club that I know, like they come up to me, they're like, when are you going to buy a man's bike like your wives? I was like, you got to be kidding me. So like literally like a week later, I'm like,
yeah, got the Challenger.
I wanted a Challenger like pretty much the whole year that it was out, but I was like, I'm going to wait till 2021.
So you don't get a lemon.
I have a lemon. So I've had a lot of issues with my bike.
But that's not good.
Yeah. Like I said, the throttle was horrible. The ride command, like the GPS, the Bluetooth, like all the electronics on it are kind of wonky, but engine and transmission have been solid. Suspension, everything's good. So apparently the tune that I'm getting, it's at Lloyd's right now in Charlotte. It should be back Friday or Saturday. And it's supposed to fix like everything, like it's supposed to be perfect. Everyone that has gotten it said it made the bike absolutely perfect. So
sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's disappointing, especially the electronics, because my GPS did that. We were out on our trip and it just went dead stick, just completely blacked out. I'm like, well, that's not good. Yeah. I had no idea literally where we are. Like, that's not good.
Actually, my wife with a good idea, I was like, you need to just put your RAM mount on your handlebar and use your cell phone. I'm like, I paid $5,000 extra to have GPS.
No, you didn't. You paid $5,000 extra for it to be all blacked out.
Yeah. So the Dark Horse and the Challenger, it comes with the flat paint and the blacked out, engine, but it also comes with a sound system that's upgraded and the GPS. So it was a big package. I'm like, I still would have paid the extra just because I don't like chrome.
I was hell bent that I wanted a GPS only to realize I can't see it with a full face. It's like just under the helmet. So you're constantly looking down. And I was totally against putting the phone on my bars until I did. I was like, oh, this is nice. I can actually see it. Yeah,
it's super nice.
Especially too with there's the Indian, how do you update your maps and stuff? Does that have any?
Yeah, it has a Bluetooth.
It does.
It has a stick that you can put in your computer, go to ride, like the Indian ride command and update it there.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing that's disappointing with mine is that once you use like live maps on your phone, you get spoiled. It's really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you can't find it. Like, wow, mine's got 2014 maps on it, so you don't find anything if you look for it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's what they always have updates every couple months, and you just take the stick out of the cord and you put it in your laptop or whatever, and you just download the update and stick it back in and update it. And
sweet.
Yeah. So
puppy.
They love coming on live streams.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So what do you guys have planned? So your channel has grown really well. And I think that I like the dynamic that it's the two of you riding, because you don't see that. Like it's most people are like me. It's either you have somebody on the back of the bike or it's just you solo. So I think the two of you riding is awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I was actually talking to a guy earlier, and he was asking me about. He's like, I just don't understand how you have so many views. I don't understand how your channel's grown. Like it's been like, I think it's 7 months now, but I'm like, I don't know. I think it's because we actually go out like with a purpose. Like we have the club, me and her ride together. Like we're like making a point to like go see things, go do things. Like there's like go eat. Like we eat a lot.
We do eat a lot.
Yeah. So
those are the best rides.
Like, that's a big thing. I was like, man, like I know when I log into YouTube, like I want to see something that I can't experience at that moment. Like I want to see someone riding in Jersey. Or I want to see somebody riding in Washington and the mountains. Like I want them to be doing something and talking about something that I might not know about. Like, so I just try to keep that in the back of my mind every time we got like the days that we go out and like, what are we going to talk about? It's usually like blah, blah. Like if we have something preemptively to talk about, like they're usually a little bit more exciting. And
okay.
So actually putting a little thought into it before you take off is what I think is like the key to the success as far as having a fun video, or if you just going to do something fun, like the motorcycle rally thing, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Our first rally that we took this year.
That's awesome. Now, so you added the 360 camera. How are you finding that?
I like the 360 a lot. Yeah. Like it gives it a different dynamics, but I've also noticed like we've had it for like since Christmas. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like there wasn't very many motorcycle 360 videos. And now I've noticed like all the big channels are starting to get them. I'm like, that's not fair. Like let the little guys eat.
Yeah. I was giving Moto Blonde a hard time because she's like, I got a 360. I'm like, that just sounds like work. It's like syncing 2 cameras is work, let alone 360.
So yeah, syncing 2 cameras
a lot.
Yeah, I might curse a lot, but so we actually have 3 cameras because I have a GoPro looking at me. I have the side mount Senna now.
Okay,
and then we have the 360 on hers. And I'm actually thinking about completely torturing myself and adding a Senna camera to her helmet. So it's going to be 4 cameras. And I'm like, I don't know, but I just got Final Cut Pro. So you can like lay everything out and like, you can see like, I feel like it's not going to be, it's going to be bad. I should stop.
It's going to be even more cursing.
I should stop talking.
I was running the handlebar camera for a while, and after a while, it just starts to get. It just seems like it's work because you're always like something's out of sync, or it's you know, it's cool. And you're right though. It seems like that YouTube goes through these trends where everybody gets X, whether it's a piece of gear or a camera, and then there's no sort of separating yourself.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like we've been like 7 months ago, I made my video, and people, the community, it's big, but it's small. And I got nothing but like Indian hate. They're like, oh, you ride Indians, blah, blah, blah. Well, now that all the moto vloggers went out to Arizona and rode Indians, now it's like the cool thing for people. Like I see all these people doing videos that hated on me for Indians. And now they're like, I got a channel update. I got these reviews coming out. I'm like, dude, you literally made fun of me like 6 months ago for having an Indian. And now you're doing a review on them, talking about how great they are. I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that at all.
But you're ahead of the curve. So,
I'm a trendsetter.
There you go.
And now he's salty.
No, I've been salty for a long time. That's my road name. So
now, how long have you been in the club?
We've actually, so our chapter has been together 6 years. It's always been an EMS club. We were in a riding club before this, and it was we had a falling out, and they had a local chapter here that we had known for like the whole time pretty much. And they pretty much opened us up with open arms. And like I said, we've been a core unit for like 6 years. So, in the club world, the problem with a lot of motorcycle clubs and riding clubs is turnover. Like people start a club and like it'll fail. And so we just wanted to make sure we didn't fall into that category. So joining in an existing club and expanding in Houston on that club is what we pretty much did.
That's awesome. I think that's a hard dynamic too. 'Cause it's hard. Well, you guys obviously ride with people. We don't generally ride with people. Like I'll do charity rides occasionally, and they always freak me out because I'm like, there's 200 people.
Those are scary. We ride in groups all the time. Like every time we ride, it's pretty much a group ride. And we go to charities. I'm like, I almost want her to get on the back of my bike because I'm like, these idiots. It's like amateur hour. Every charity ride we go on, I'm like.
We did a police fundraiser ride in Bensalem, and I had my intruder. It had just rained. They were like, oh, we're still going to go. We're still going to go. One of the cops dumped his bike. And I said to my wife, I'm like, get off the bike and find a cop car and tell them you're going home with them. I'm like, we're done. Because I'm like, if that guy's dropping his bike, I got no chance. Yeah. None.
Yeah, cop bikes are usually really, really well trained.
Yeah. You come around the corner and there's a Road King on its side facing me. I'm like, that can't be good.
No.
It's like, no.
I think I've only done 2 of those big rides. I'm not a fan of them.
No. Like we like to support the charity events, but I'm like, when it comes to like hundreds of bikes that are coming together, they've never ridden together, it's always a recipe for disaster. So
yeah, I don't like that dynamic at all, especially with somebody else that I'm responsible for on the bike. It's like, no thanks. There's just, I mean, I love the idea of it. It seems really good, but then when you get to it, you're like, yeah, maybe this wasn't the best decision.
Yeah, there's been a couple. Like, actually, there's an event in Tulsa that I used to go to the first year. Like, I can't remember what it was called. It was like Hotter Than Hell or something. It was like a 100-mile ride, and literally, it's like a race. Like people like start and just like red line, like, and it's like a big group ride, and there's always super bad wrecks. And like the first year I did it, I was like, what is going on here? And like the first year I did it, I was like fresh out of sport bikes, and I was on a hopped up Harley. And I was like, oh, I can keep up with these guys. Like, and I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near these people. So the next 2 years that I did it, I like just let everyone take off, and I just rode at my own pace. I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. Like just to show off your bike and see who can get there fastest. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, they had people going off the road and all kinds of stuff. And you're like, this just isn't fun.
Yeah.
I'm all about supporting a charity, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah. No, if you're going to cause more damage to you and your bike than you're given to the charity.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you guys, I mean, do you have a plan for your channel? Do you have any sort of ambition of it, or are you just?
Well, that's what, like, so someone asked me the other day about that, and they were like, what are you going to do with your channel? I'm like, I don't know, make videos. Like
now? Have fun?
Yeah. So the big thing with us is like, it's something to keep our memories in a, social media outlet. So like I said before, I deleted Facebook, and one of the things I really liked about Facebook was how it kept memories, and like a lot of it was motorcycle stuff. So I'm like, we can make a Facebook channel or a YouTube channel, and we can record there. And, but next thing you know, I'm like, well, we like to eat. We do the club thing, and we like to go to events. So I was like, when we started mixing all that together, that's why I was like, man, people are actually like subbing to the channel. And I think we're up to like 1,100 subs right now. And it's been 7 months. So apparently, like, I think Full Throttle Hog said that's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good rate.
I think it's good too, because I think a lot of people get either too serious about it where it becomes a job. Like for me, there's been weeks where people are like, you didn't post a video this week. Nah. Get over it. I really will. It's not life or death, but it's very easy to get caught up in that number.
Yeah.
If it's this, it's that. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually there's been some people that's reached out to me, and they've been telling me about it. Like, oh, you got to treat it like a job. You got to treat it like your own business. Like you're running a business. I'm like, I just don't think that's true. Like, I want to take care of my channel and make sure that we are putting out content that I would want to watch. Like I've actually got a couple videos like on the hard drive where I'm like, I don't think we're going to release that. That's just not very good stuff. And so I'm going to make sure that.
It's funny too, because everyone says the same thing. It's like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it's like, okay.
No. Yeah. No, like when people were talking about like trends and make sure like, you're like, oh, if you see trends on YouTube, like you should probably like try to do that and like try to talk about that. And I'm like, I just want to talk about stuff that's cool, like stuff that's fun and things that are relevant to what we're doing. So
we were talking before the show that there seems to be, and everyone tells you this, you have to do the 5 things you hate about your bike.
Yeah.
Why? But people eat that up, and I don't get it. It's like they'd rather be upset than to watch something that's interesting.
Yeah. So I've clicked on those and watched them. I'm like, I don't understand the purpose of those as far as like, I've seen like they do the 5 things they love and the 5 things they hate. And I'm like, I definitely have things I hate about my bike, but I also have things I love about it. And like we did a review, and it's doing really well. Like me and her like did a review in the garage because it was raining for like a week straight here. And I'm like, let's just set up a camera. And when I say camera, I mean iPhone. iPhone on a trash can. And we did a review of the Challenger with her perspective of a backseat rider. And
and that's unique though, because that's what my wife is always into. It's like, well, I don't want to know from your perspective, because let's face it, the front's always more comfortable. She's like, I want to talk to somebody that rides on the back and what's it like, because for her it was she really likes the speakers in the back, not because they work, but because they kind of hug her. And she really likes that. But there's not a lot of information from like a passenger side. It's always the rider.
Yeah.
And I think that's
important when you're on a very uncomfortable back seat that you just spent $30,000 on. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the whole reason we bought the bike, because my friends were like, oh, I don't understand. You bought an Ultra. It's an old man's bike. I'm like, she loves it. Yeah. If we can ride more, I'm happy. Like, I'm past the point of caring about what I'm riding.
Yeah. We actually.
Until I get a Road Glide. But
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know, because like we were talking about before, but like my friend that wrecked her Road Glide recently, I don't know, because my buddy had a 2012 or 2013 Road Glide. They discontinued 1 year. They stopped making Road Glides because they were having a lot of problems with the Harley wobble. And my buddy had it real bad. Like if he was decelerating and if he like didn't like pull in his clutch and he was coming to a stop, like his whole bike would like shake violently. And he like took it back to the dealership. They're like, yeah, some of these bikes just have that problems. Well, my friend just wrecked her 2021 Road Glide CVO, and she had tons of work done to it, but she was riding in a straight line. And the dude that she was riding with said he looked over, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, her handlebar started shaking. Wow. And then it went like a tank slapper. Well, it put her into oncoming traffic, and now she's going to lose her leg probably. Jesus. And she was like, and it was fun, one of those things, like she was like, she really liked her hog chapter up in the northern Houston. And she's like, I wanted to keep riding with them. So that's why I bought the Harley over the Indian. And I'm like, she's like, I really regret it now. I'm like, that's really crappy that, you wanted to ride with a group of people just because they had a Harley.
Yeah.
And now you're like, probably not going to have your leg because of probably a frame design flaw. I really want to know. I've been talking to sensor pendants about it. Like, I want to know why this is happening, because it's happened. I actually saw someone on Facebook today. They were like, yeah, my bike got this really bad wobble and I almost crashed. So I had to end up getting this girl ended up getting an Indian Challenger and riding it home. And I was like, and she's like, the bike's fantastic. I'm like, more people need to know this.
No, absolutely. My Suzuki Intruder was like that. If you took your hands off the bars or even just relaxed, it would start death wobbling.
Yeah.
And apparently that was just the design, which I thought was amazing.
Crazy to me. Like, for me, like, back in the sport bike days, if you gave it too much gas and you kind of turned your handles, that would like give it a little bit of inconsistency. But to just be riding straight and your bike started shaking violently, like, to me, that's unacceptable, especially when you spend $45,000 on a bike.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not, that's not cool at all.
No.
And so what work have you had done to yours? So you're getting ECM done. Yeah.
Yeah. I got an intake. I got the stage 1 tune, and I got the cat delete with the exhaust, and it was like all set up so where I can like eventually because when I got all that done, Lloyd's didn't have their tune out yet. Okay. No one had cracked the ECU for the Challenger yet. And I knew that someone had to do it because like everyone I've talked to was like, dude, this Power Plus engine that's in the Challenger has like so much potential. Like, they were talking about it for like a while about how much power that it could have and how smooth it's going to be. And so I ended up getting the Indian tune, and it improved my bike probably like 80% of what it was. And it still has a little bit of a throttle lag where you'll go to pull in the throttle and nothing will happen. I was going on a slow curve the other day. I went to go pull in the throttle and I'm like, oh boy. But apparently this Lloyd's tune is supposed to fix everything. So
sweet.
No more complaining.
Sprinkles will be getting that next. Their bike will be even faster. So you're in trouble. Because our probably sound better too.
Yeah. Our bikes are pretty similar in performance, and this is supposed to raise the RPMs up 1,000 to 6,300, and it's supposed to completely kill the governor so it can go faster than 110.
Nice. Not that you do that.
I'm sure he'll stall on getting mine done for a while.
Nah, we'll get it done.
You will totally stall on it.
We'll get it done. Mm-hmm. Actually, we were riding last week, and you want to tell the story about?
It's May 12th.
Yeah. See how long he keeps this faster bike, faster than mine.
You want to tell the story about how you went off-roading last weekend? Like a real off-roading, not the fake motovlogging off-roading? Where we were on the country road and your lights went out? Oh
my God. We were doing like 70 down a country road. Total like
whole chapter, like
a whole chapter. There's four of us, four bikes.
Four bikes.
So there, there's no roadways coming in or out. So it's just a closed country road, asphalt. We're all doing 70. And then all of a sudden we hit gravel, like total gravel.
Not just gravel. It was like washed out dirt road.
Oh, jeez.
Like potholes, like the size of Volkswagens.
And so I like the second I hit, I'm like, oh my God. And I didn't brake. So I just let off my throttle. So I slowed down enough, but I hit a couple potholes so hard that it sounded like I bottomed out. Like it sounded like the bottom of my bike hit the ground. And I must have hit something hard because 100 miles later, we noticed that I had no blinkers, no brake lights, the only thing that still worked was a headlight. So I hit so hard, I blew my fuse.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's what I put her Corbin heated seat in. So you had to install a latch, a lock. You had to put in like a couple extra wires, and the Indian Scout was assembled by midgets with little bitty hands, because there is no way that a grown adult actually put all that stuff in there. Because like working on that was absolutely tedious. And all of a sudden she's like, my lights don't work. And like we noticed, I'm like, oh my God. So we pull her seat, we pull the fuse panel, and I'm like, there's no fuses in here. It was all like junction box, and I don't know what they call them, but they're like, I looked them up. I'm like, I hope that's not what's broken, because they're like super expensive and I don't know which one it is. And then I started looking, and I looked under the tank, and they had a little box. I'm like, there's another fuse box in there. I'm like, hope to God that that's actually a fuse box for lights. And sure enough, we pulled it open, and like my buddy was like, yeah, but it's blown. Like your fuse is blown. I'm like, thank God. Oh. So a little 5 amp fuse, and everything's working again. But yeah, we hit really hard. Like it was pretty sketchy going 70 off. It was literally like an off-road path. Like
I don't think I'll ever go that fast in the country again.
She will.
That scared the crap out of me.
Oh, I'm sure. There was we weren't even going that fast. There's roads in the Pine Barrens that, they're asphalt and there's no warning and it just turns to sand. And all of a sudden I was like, that road doesn't look right.
Scarier.
I was just like, this is not going to end well. I think my bike would be very hard to dig out of the sand.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, ask what $1 Million Bogan does that crap all the time. He makes me tired watching that video. I'm like, I can't do that. I cannot, like, in my chest. I'm like, I feel like I have chest pressure watching him trying to pick up his bike, dig it out. I'm like, that would be horrible. Like, I would get so mad if I was him, but I think he does it for like cinematic purposes. There's no way you would do that for fun.
Well, yeah, especially when he's riding it like through the ocean. He's riding in the waves. You're just like, come on, dude, seriously?
Yeah.
But there's something I respect about that because he just doesn't care. No, it's really funny.
Yeah, and he's very honest.
Did you see the one where it shoots flames? He put yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but he's super honest about making money. He made I don't know if it was a vlog on YouTube or if it was Instagram, but he was pretty much saying he did the 9-to-5 thing and worked to pay bills. And he just told I think it was his wife at the time. He's like, I don't want to work to pay bills. He's like, I want to like do something that makes money where I can afford a life to like live lavishly. And that's what he did. So good on him to find his strengths in life and expand on that. He's a good salesman and obviously
absolutely.
He's a good YouTuber. So I have to give him the most respect. I tried to do the sales thing for a year. And while I did well at it, I just inside, I hated it. I hated myself. I hated what I was doing. Couldn't do the sales thing. Even I made really good money. I'm like, couldn't do it. Had to go back to nursing. Yeah.
I mean, and that's important, right? That you only go around once. You might as well do something you're going to enjoy.
Yeah. So I like helping people. I'm a manager. I'm a leader now. So that's one of the things I found passion in is being a leader.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as we wrap up, is there anything where can people go to donate for the fundraiser?
So we have an Eventbrite that has a link in it. Like there's like you can do like, if you want to ride, it's $25 with a passenger is $35. Like even if you live in UK and you want to do that, you can like put like you and a passenger in a ride and it still counts. It'd be $35. Or we have a little link on the bottom that's you can set your amount, $10, whatever you want to do on the bottom. So I can send you that link after this.
Yeah, please, because I'll put that in the description link because I think that's important and that's great. I think it's really positive that you're doing something that has a mission to it. There's so many people that are doing it for themselves. Yeah, as you had mentioned earlier too, you chose not to monetize your channel, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
Well, I monetized it, but it's like one of the things that I was just seeing how much like a video would make. Mm-hmm. And as of now, like we're spending that money on the event. So like as of now, like we're actually in the hole on my channel hasn't made any money compared to the money we spent doing this event. So technically the money that is the channel is making is going towards the event.
That's awesome. Now, how many people are you expecting to turn out?
Man, I hope a lot because this dog is
Smitty though, right? Because you don't want that character there.
No, Smitty's going. He's
bringing some people.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
he's on Instagram. He's on YouTube.
There's a name for them. They're the Big Smitty Committee. That's what he wants to call his people.
That is awesome. You have to make them like name tags.
Yeah,
I was giving him crap. I'm like, so you have a PO box now. Now you have groupies. I mean, I got nothing.
Yeah,
I don't have either.
He's always talking about how he's like, in like 10 years when I monetize my channel and I get 1,000 subs. I'm like, dude, like, I think the one thing that like people really like is to see like the videos that we do, like dual vlogs and we do like dual channels. And like when you're going out with groups, like people like to see that because there's a lot of people out there that just, I don't know if they're scared to ride with other people, scared to ride with groups, or they just like don't have the option to ride with other groups. So like a lot of people get on YouTube to escape reality. And like, if they want to get on there and watch people ride with other people and get on group rides and do motorcycle club stuff, like I feel like that's where YouTube can separate itself as far as like, if you're just a dude that gets on the bike and talks into a camera, like if you got good stuff to say, people will follow you. And if you got reviews and stuff like that. So it's all in how you separate yourself.
Well, and I think it's true too, because especially in the last year, there were just a lot of people that was their television, right? Yeah. There was nothing to do. So it was like, let me just go watch $1 Million Bogan, wreck a $30,000 motorcycle because why not? I can live vicariously through that. Well,
that's the thing is like, there was no movies, like no movies came out. Like me and her love the movie theater. Like we actually went and bought this is kind of a shameless plug, but we bought a big ass popcorn maker because we love the movie theater so much. So we got like movie theater popcorn.
Nice.
We went and got a nice big screen, and COVID ruined movie theaters and ruined the movie industry because there hasn't been that many movies released. But I know people have reached out to me. They're like, dude, my videos don't get any views anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's because the world's kind of becoming normal. People are going out. It's riding season. People are going out riding instead of going on the YouTube at, 5:00 in the afternoon when they come home and watch YouTube. They're actually getting out on the bike. So I was like, it'll probably turn around in, October when people's weather.
The north shuts down.
When the north shuts down for winter.
When the white wall comes, yes. It's, well, no. And it's interesting too, because I think sometimes people think that, there's certain things that are going to hit and you have no idea why. And sometimes that's the fun of it. You know what I mean? It's, if you enjoy it, then it's value to it.
Yeah. Well, that's like when people reach out to me for YouTube advice, I'm like, it's like asking the dumb kid in class the answers to the homework. I'm like, I don't know. Like I literally make videos and I put it on the internet and I put tags behind it. And she actually looked up what'd you look up the other day? And you're like, you're actually kind of doing everything
how to hit your SEO or something like that. Cause I get all those stupid emails or Instagram messages. I can help with your SEO. I think that's what it is. And so I looked it up because I'm like, what is an SEO? So I look it up and I'm like, oh, I think you're doing most of it. Yeah. So
I love putting a post on Instagram and then doing the hashtag YouTuber and then like looking at my watch to see how fast they're going to contact me.
How many messages show up?
Yes. Check your IMs. I can save your channel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh really man, I don't mess with him as bad as Bikes, Beards, and Brews, but like I like messing with him.
He's brutal.
Like I'll actually message him back and be like, that is so weird. Like I'm actually an expert in SEO YouTube. Like I can grow your Instagram. They're like, no, wait, I want to grow your YouTube. I was like, no, I want to grow your Instagram. They're like, no, wait, I was like, how much are you going to pay me? So I'll turn it around. Like she'll be like, are you still talking to Punjab from Islamabad? I'm like, yes, yes, I am.
I think it's funny that people that reach out and tell you like, oh, you should contact this person, like it's a company and you're like, but if you work for the company, why wouldn't you contact me? Like, why? It's weird.
Oh yeah. Like the clothing brands.
Yeah, because I'm a fashion guru. It makes sense for me to be a fashionista. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely in their demographic for sure.
Or biker stuff and scrubs pretty much.
Yeah. There you go. You could get a biker line of scrubs, leather scrubs, maybe.
Oh man,
that would be so hot.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Miserable in the summer.
Oh, so it's hot. It's not hot. Okay.
No, it's not hot.
It's not hot.
It's hot.
It is ridiculously hot. But I'd make fun of you if you wore them.
Scrubs that are leathers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you get the studs on the spike and the shoulders would be great.
Shoulder pads.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Riding to work, when I go to work, I'm like, I'll always wear my jacket, my vest, and my jeans, and then I'll just change into scrubs when I get to work because I've seen what happens to people that wreck their motorcycles with no gear, and it's awful. Like, awful. No, I don't want that.
It's like the people that are wearing dress pants. You're like, that's not going to end well.
Yeah, and I've seen people wrecking
flip-flops.
I've seen flip-flops. People
that kills me. That absolutely kills
shorts, me. But a helmet.
Yeah. I've seen what people look like with half a feet.
Yeah. That's not fun at all.
No.
Not at all.
No, it's not. Nope. Like I said, I actually used to sport bikes that wore helmets. Then I went to the cruiser and nobody in Oklahoma wore helmets at all. So like I show up in full face. They're like, what are you doing, man? Like it's hot. You're going to die. Like you need and then I had people talk to me like, you do know helmets cause death if you wreck. I'm like, what? I'm like, I was working in a trauma center at the time. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And slowly I just went from like a full face to a half to no helmet. And then when I started riding down here, I came down with no helmet on and I was north of Houston and it's like 12 lanes on each side. People were going like 85 miles an hour. And I'm like, I think I'm going to wear a helmet. Like next time I come down here,
I might want to buy a helmet while I'm here.
Yeah. So then after that, it was a half helmet and I wear a full face helmet no matter what now.
Yeah. What's your preference brand wise? Do you have a preference?
Showy.
There you go. That's where it's at.
Showy.
So comfortable. I can't wear anything else.
That's when people tell me that all helmets are the same. I'm like, no.
Which Showies do you have?
She has the what? Yeah. I was going to give her a chance to talk. It's the RFSR.
That one. I got that one.
That's the one Katie has. And that's my backup. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I actually got the Shoei GT Air 2.
And he hates it.
that has the visor that comes down, and it's like a very smothering helmet, and it's like awesome for audio, but there's like no airflow, so that's awesome for audio. But like they call it the air. I don't know why, because there's no air to your face.
The air goes over it.
I have the RF that we both have those. And then I bought a 1200 from somebody that got it, wore it twice, didn't particularly care for it. Yeah. And it's weird because it's I guess more of a sport bike helmet. Yep. It sits up just a little bit higher. It's okay after you've had it a while, but you notice it right away. You're like, wow, now I can even see less of my GPS that I can't see. Yeah. But they're beautiful helmets. They're quiet.
Yeah. I actually like the RFs, the way they fit and everything. And the guy was like, well, they're a sport bike helmet. So then I just put it back on the shelf and then started looking at the other ones. I wanted the drop down visor because I hate carrying a visor that switches, because we used to wear the blacked out visors.
You just get a transition one.
So they have a transition light that she bought the transition. I was like, I'll let her try it out, see if it actually works. They're awesome. They're awesome. So I'm actually going to wear this GT Showy Air until it breaks, or if I drop it off my helmet conveniently or off my bike conveniently.
On purpose.
Or get it and throw it in your deal when you get the next bike.
Yeah. They have
because your helmet won't match your bike.
2022 Challenger. Ooh. But no, the RFSR, I find that's like, that helmet is so breezy. Like the little two vents on the top, it breathes so well. So that's definitely it's only like $300 something, right? No. I was off. Maybe it's like 400.
I think it's 500.
I don't know.
I think it's interesting that people that buy bikes and they spend all this money on upgrades and then they buy like the cheapest helmet they can find off eBay, and you're like, that doesn't seem logical.
Yep. Yeah, I actually bought a Bell modular helmet, and I was like, I wanted a modular helmet, but I didn't want to spend $700 on a Showy. So I went and bought a Bell modular, and that thing, it was a waste of money because it didn't fit very good and it had pressure points, and I was uncomfortable all the time and very, very front heavy. So I definitely want a modular for my next helmet. Now that I know that my Senna, I really like the Senna 10C Evo. Have you seen my video that has the new, the camera comes out of there? I started researching it, and a couple of my friends are like, don't get that. The camera quality is crap and it's not very good. And I was like, but it's so convenient. Like the audio is so good. And they're like, well, get that for the audio and then get a GoPro and overlay it. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do all that. So I ended up started watching these channels that had the Senna, and I started really, really liking that footage. I'm like, man, this is more engaging than just having a camera out in front. I was like, for me, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but actually I followed a couple of different channels that had the Senna on the side, just based on that camera angle. Even their content's not that engaging, but just watching them ride with it on the shoulder, I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm in the action.
Because you pick up the side of the visor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I used to do that when I got my GoPro. I used to have it looked ridiculous, but I had mounts all over the helmets because I could switch it up, and that side mount's kind of cool. Yeah. The thing I didn't like is it sort of draws attention, because you got this big satellite hanging off the side of your helmet. But that's awesome. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying the new 10C Evo, it's more stealthy looking. It doesn't look like the Pro that looks like a big camera sticking off the side. So I've only had a couple of people go, is that a camera? So
that's cool. Yeah. And that's the thing too. Once you see it, I kind of feel like it draws attention. Yeah. It's kind of like you pull up to a stoplight and you've got cameras all over the bike and you're like, oh, this is bad. Yeah. I don't blend in anymore. Or you have the guy behind you trying to figure out what you're doing, and you're like, dude, don't pay attention to what you're doing. Don't watch me.
Yeah. That's every time we see somebody with a GoPro on their helmet, I'm like, I wonder if they have a channel. We actually have our stickers on our helmet. So if anybody comes by and sees us, they can see the stickers. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to put all the links to your social medias there, and you're going to be doing your ride. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want
to? We are planning on going to Blues Bikes and Barbecue up in Arkansas.
Nice.
And we're going to be going to the Lone Star Rally in Galveston. We were going to go to Sturgis, but I can take the time off, but I just feel guilty doing that. I have a new job. I've been there 2 months, and my boss is like, that sounds fun. You should do it. I'm like, I would take 2 weeks off. She's like, so I'm like, I don't have 2 weeks of vacation. She's like, it's okay. I'm like, I can't do that. I just, and one sets her penance is like, that's horrible. You should set the precedence now that you're going to take 2 weeks off every other month. And I was like, no, I can't do that. So we picked Blues Bikes and Barbecue. It's a little closer. We can do it in one day, make it there.
Versus 3 days for me to get to Sturgis.
Yeah, I was going to take 2 days, but she's like, I'm going to have to take 3 days.
I heard that blues event's a really great event too.
It is. I've been there for the day a couple times, like, cause I lived in Tulsa. So we would ride over there, spend the day and ride home. Probably very irresponsible of us riding home in the mountains at night, but we didn't die.
As long as you didn't die, it's okay.
It's true. Like I said, when I turn 40, they're going to be like, I can't believe that Joe guy's still around.
Well, if you don't do something stupid while you're young, then you don't have nothing to look back at. You know?
That's true. I got a lot of stuff to look back at.
There you go. That's funny. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out. I think your channel's like it's unique. I really enjoy it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, when you asked us what we were going to do with the channel, I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to do when I started it. So who knows?
No, and I think that's fair. I think sometimes that's the best things happen that way. You just be creative and not try and have a blocked out plan.
Yeah, like I said, I know they talk about niche, getting your niche or whatever. I'm like, for me, like, I'm just it's our life. It's almost like a lifestyle motovlog.
As long as it stays fun and it doesn't turn into a job. So.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Like I said, like we met Big Smitty and we met Hell's on Two Wheels with Drew and Crystal, and both of them at the end of the weekend, they're like, damn, dude, like your vlogs and your moto vlogs are like real life. Like what you're doing is your videos. Like you're not fake. You're not putting on a persona. You're not like trying to do cool stuff on camera that you're not, you wouldn't normally do. I'm like, this is like, they hung out with us 2 days in a row. I was like, this is what we do. Like every weekend we go and try to find an adventure. We try to find something to do. Like we make memories, and now we just put it on YouTube.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, I wish you guys a lot of success. That's great. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
No, thanks for inviting us. This is really fun.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.